Hello, welcome back. I just wanted to make this short video on why it is I just wanted to ramble about why I love old computer games, and I don't mean I mean 90s old, like Fallout, the original Fallout, before it was a first person shooter. First Fallout game came out in 97, I think, and the second one came out in 99. I think that's right. Either 99 or 98. It was 1 or 2 years after. But, so I was born in 2004. I'm 16. Not exactly born when these games were being made, but my family did have a ton of old CD-ROMs of these games. Not Fallout in particular, but I picked it up on Steam, and I'm loving it so far. But Roller Coaster Tycoon and fucking Insaniquarium, all of these ancient games at this point that were just on old computers, and I started playing Fallout, and I was like, oh my god, this is what's it called? Age of Mythologies? And Age of Empires and all those old ass games I used to play, and Red Alert. Holy shit, I loved Red Alert. Command and Conquer. I would always go over to my friend's house and play Command and Conquer Red Alert 2. And I loved it. It was so much fun. It's why I love strategy games now. Of course, that friend also tried to steal my shit all the time, so that wasn't cool. But he had Red Alert 2, so. But yeah, there's just such a feel about them that is so, I want to, nostalgic is the word that I have to use, which is weird because I didn't grow up, well, I did grow up with these games, but I didn't grow up in the time they were being made. When the original Fallout came out, I wouldn't happen for another 7 years. So I was just thinking about that. It's really weird to me that I do feel nostalgia for these games. Because I remember playing, I think it's Age of Mythology. There's one specific mission that's coming back to me now. You have to put a certain amount of power or something into, this statue so that a guy will come to life and kill, this big three-headed dog. I think. This is all very vague in my brain. But it's very vague, but I remember it so distinctly. And if you didn't in time, the dog would show up and you would lose automatically. And I loved it. I don't even know why. I never finished it. I never succeeded in that mission. And in one of the Age of Mythology games, I think it was, either Age of Mythology or Age of Empires, there was a character named Ajax. I don't remember what the context was or why he was called that. I remember he dies, though. Very vaguely. I remember him dying, and I named my guinea pig after him because I don't know. There was just something about it. And playing Fallout again and just having no idea what the fuck to do, it was so reminiscent of those, because for those of you who have never played the Fallout, or the original Fallout, which I suspect will be a lot of the people watching this video, because I had never played it, but I've played 3 in New Vegas, because nobody even knows really that Fallout 1 and 2 exist. People just don't really acknowledge them at all. But for those of you who haven't played it, it's not a first-person shooter. It wouldn't become a first-person shooter until Obsidian Entertainment bought the rights to it and made it a first-person shooter, and then subsequently Bethesda bought the rights from them and still just kind of expanded on that. Obsidian was New Vegas, and Bethesda was 3. Fallout 3 is better than Fallout New Vegas. Fight me, I guess. Just gonna throw that in there. But Fallout, the original, the first 2 are not first-person shooters. They are top-down, essentially turn-based games. And when I started playing it, I just got hit with this sudden, holy shit, this is what I grew up on. And I love them so much because they're so simple, Insaniquarium, for instance. Insaniquarium, for those of you who don't know, is just a game about Like, oh, you have fish, and you have to feed them, and they'll poop out money, and there are different types of fish that you can get, and this fish eats this fish, and then this fish eats that fish. And you get more money based off of what eats what, or what falls into what, because there are, like, things that come out of them, and certain fish that can catch them and make more money, and it's all very simple, it's mundane, it's repetitive, but I love it, just because, I don't know, I couldn't tell you why I love Insaniquarium so much. I think it's just the simplicity of it. Reminds me of when I was younger. I just remember sitting at my fucking computer for hours and playing it because it was simple, you know? And it still is. Looking back on it now, because I did play it a few years back, it is very repetitive, admittedly. It is pretty fucking repetitive. Very derivative. And I mean specifically Insaniquarium Deluxe. I don't remember when that came out. I know that there was Insaniquarium before that. Don't remember when that came out either. But all these old computer games are just, I don't know, but I love them. I haven't played Age of Mythologies or Age of Empires in ages. No pun intended. But I remember them very distinctly. It's so weird. You were like in this big field, and there was black all around you, and you had to walk, and that black would uncover itself, and there would be like an enemy camp, or just enemies on horses, and you would have to fight them, and I don't know. Another big thing about that is that there was some really funny fucking Easter eggs in those games that I didn't know about at the time, but I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's one in Age of Empires, I think it is. I think it's like Age of Empires 2 or 3, where you can input a cheat code, and it'll give you access to an enemy that's like a flying elephant that shoots lasers out of its eyes or some shit like that. And it's just, because it was at the time when people weren't afraid to put ridiculous bullshit into their games. And you don't really see much of that anymore. You don't see much of the ridiculous bullshit genre anymore. Yeah, I mean, the most recent Easter egg I can think of that I would classify as ridiculous bullshit is like I think it's in Halo. There are like zombies or some shit dancing in an elevator. But the most recent, like, good one that I can remember that is just so over the top and hilarious. It's not a computer game, admittedly, but it is the Silent Hill 2 dog ending. Now, for those of you who don't know what the dog ending is, I won't go off on this tangent for too long, but it is an ending in which, first you have to get all of the other endings, so you have to play through the game at least 3 or 4 other times to do this. Or just load your save, I guess. And then play through the game again, and then get to a certain point, and then James will come across this like colorful control room where there's just a Shiba Inu like pushing and pulling on levers, and he's just like, "You were behind this all along," and then he collapses, and the dog like hops off of its little rolly chair and comes over and licks his face. And then it ends. The credits roll. It's so fucking hilarious. And that's why I love those games, is because it was just ridiculous bullshit. And you don't, like I said, you don't see much of that anymore. Another instance I can think of, it's not an Easter egg, but there is a mission in, I think it's Red Alert 2, Command & Conquer, where there is a specific character named Boris, I want to say his name is. I can't remember explicitly. But he is just like super fucking overpowered, and you're like, I very vaguely remember you going back in time with him to destroy a certain thing, and if he dies, it's essentially game over. Not that he's ever gonna die, because he's fucking overpowered as shit, but yeah, it's just so absurdist, and I love it. I love absurdism a lot. Then there's just a certain charm to them as well. Like, I get this feeling from the Enclave soldier in Fallout 2 telling me that he should kick my fucking ass. Like nothing else. It's the presentation of them. It's the top-down, like, grimy, I don't want to say grimy. Grimy is the wrong word. But just like, I don't know. You know what I mean. I can't really put it into words, but it looks old, you know? And then there's, like, obviously, the old computer games like Doom and Doom 2. I've played through the original Doom more times than I can count. I love that game so much. Doom 2 is also good, but not as good, because it's longer, yeah, but the city levels are just, like, fucking miserable. But it's I think I hold them in such high regard because when I played them, it was like, holy shit, computers can do that? I mean, that's what it was like at the time, in 97 when Fallout was coming out, you know? Same thing with Doom, for different reasons, sure, but with Doom it was because it was violent as fuck. And that's another thing, you know? That that it revolutionized an era of gaming that would be changed forever after they came out. Like, Fallout, you can see the little subtitle there, wrong way. It says a post-apocalyptic role-playing game. That is such a 1997, like, header for a game, you know? I don't know. Like, you wouldn't see... If the original Fallout were to come out today, it wouldn't have that there, because nobody would give a shit, because it's been done so many times over. Like, nuclear apocalyptic role-playing games, been done a dozen different fucking times. Mostly by games that were trying to be Fallout, admittedly, but there's just something about it that is so unique and so beautiful to me. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that I share this with a lot of people. Not people in my age range, though. That's another reason of why I like it, is that I like them, is because they are remnants of a time that I did not get to experience, that I get to experience by playing these games. Like, I could walk up to fucking any of my classmates right now and be like, hey, did you ever play fucking Insaniquarium, bro? Just be like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? I can guarantee you that nobody in my classes knows what Insaniquarium is. They don't know what Age of Empires is. They don't know what the original Fallout looks like. And that's not to be like, oh, I'm so cool, I know what all these old things are. But it's just a unique perspective that I have on things, and it being the fucking history buff that I try to be, it's good that I play these games because it gives me good insight, like I said, on products of the time. And Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics are definitely products of their time. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I'm not sure. Well, I obviously think it's a good thing. By the way that I've been praising them so far. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really wanted to say here. Just wanted to kind of, like, just praise these games for a bit. Because I think it's important that people learn about these games and that people know what games now came from, especially games like Fallout, because it's so weird, the contrast between Fallout 2 and Fallout New Vegas. Shit just looks so much different. I mean, the switch from isometric turn-based RPG to first-person shooter is pretty drastic. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. Just kind of wanted to ramble for a bit about why I love old computer games. That's going to be all. Bye, guys.